Welcome to Daily Crypto episode 24. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're going to cut through the noise, look at the information you pulled together for this session, all the latest reports, news, market data, try and figure out what's, really been happening in crypto.
That's right. Think of this as your guide through the recent activity. Our mission is really to identify the signal, pinpoint the important trends, and pull out the insights that matter from everything you've gathered.
Okay, let's unpack this right away. Looking at the market numbers you have here, well, it's pretty clear there's been some downward pressure lately,
Yeah, definitely.
especially on the majors. Bitcoin, for instance, noted around $108,357, showing a dip of about 2.2%. Ethereum's trading lower, $2,554. That's down over 5.4%.
A bigger drop there.
Right. BNB around 667 others, decrease of about 2.8%. Solana, $175, down 3.9%. And XRP at $2.34 shows a drop of 4.6%.
So a sea of red for the big ones in this snapshot.
Exactly. You can see that general trend, major coins in the red.
And what's interesting here is how that trend isn't just, confined to the largest assets. This market pullback, it seems pretty broad, affecting various categories.
Yeah.
It suggests a shift, perhaps, in overall market sentiment during the time this data covers. These kinds of pullbacks, well, they aren't exactly uncommon in this market, but seeing it across the board is notable.
And you really see that amplified, I think, when you look at the meme coins highlighted here.
Oh, absolutely.
Shiba Inu is noted around 0.00000000145, down nearly 7%. Pepe at 0.00000000141 took an even bigger hit, down over 10.6%.
Wow, yeah.
Bonk is around 0.0000214, down 7.1%. Dog with Hat at almost 12% too.
So those are some steep declines, even steeper than the larger caps.
Much steeper.
And this brings up that point about volatility, doesn't it? Different market segments react differently. Meme coins are inherently more speculative, so they often see these corrections amplified. Yeah. It's a dynamic we often see during broader market downturns. It just reflects their higher sensitivity,
Makes sense. So the charts show a lot of red, a lot of negative movement. But let's pivot to some of the specific news items you included. They give more context, other signals.
Okay.
One headline that jumped out was Bitcoin's pullback from 11100K, leading to, a massive $560 million in liquidations.
That number really makes you pause, doesn't it?
It really does.
$560 million. A liquidation wave of that size, it shows a substantial amount of leveraged positions got wiped out.
Just on that price move.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As the price moved just a few $1,000s against them, it's a stark illustration of the level of leverage in the market right now.
Yeah.
And the risks involved, obviously.
Definitely. Okay. On the technical side, we saw reports about Venom achieving 150K transactions per second in a closed network stress test.
Right, TPS. Throughput is always a key benchmark for scalability for any blockchain.
Crucial.
And reaching 150K TPS, even in a test environment like this one reported, that's a significant technical milestone. It shows the network's potential capacity, which is, vital for supporting widespread use complex apps, even if it's not live on an open network yet.
Good point. You also included news about leadership changes. Specifically, Polygon co-founder Mihailo Bielich stepping down from the board.
Yeah, changes at the top of major projects like Polygon are definitely worth noting. They don't always have an immediate technical impact necessarily, but sometimes they can signal strategic shifts or maybe internal restructuring within the organization, something to keep an eye on.
Okay. Shifting gears to the corporate world, the information you shared mentioned a couple of interesting examples. Companies adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets.
Yes.
A UK-listed firm, Smarter Web Company, increasing its holdings with a $1.85 million purchase.
Right.
And a Swedish tech firm, H100 Group, reportedly saw significant gains, nearly 40% on its first Bitcoin treasury buy.
These examples, even if they're maybe smaller in scale than some huge corporate buys we've seen in the past, they still illustrate that trend. Companies exploring, implementing strategies to hold digital assets.
It's ongoing.
Exactly. Whether it's a hedge or an investment vehicle, this form of adoption is continuing.
Now, you flagged some news with political connections. Always interesting to observe.
Yes, those tend to catch the eye.
Reports about the Dow Jones seeing drops after commentary about potential new tariffs from former President Trump on Apple and the EU.
Right.
And another headline posed the question, will the Tron price rise after crypto billionaire Justin Sun met with Trump?
It's interesting how the reports you compiled highlighted these specific events, suggesting potential correlations or asking questions about them.
Hmm.
For the Dow, it's possibly linked, as suggested, to market sensitivity about trade policy impacts. For the Tronsun meeting, the commentary might be speculating, that perceived friendliness towards crypto from influential figures could impact specific prices.
Well,
We're just reporting that these connections were highlighted in the info you provided. We're not making any assessment of cause and effect ourselves or taking any political stance, obviously.
understood. Just noting the observations presented. Okay, moving back to crypto specifics. It was highlighted that Ethereum and Bitcoin ETFs have seen significant inflows recently.
Yeah, described as the biggest since the start of the year in those reports.
That raises an important point about institutional interest, doesn't it?
It really does, because despite the price pullbacks we just talked about, if ETF inflows are indeed strong, that could suggest continued, maybe even growing appetite from institutional investors.
Accessing crypto through these regulated products.
Exactly. Familiar investment products. That's a key signal to watch.
You also included news about Alchemy acquiring the NFT launchpad Haymint, reportedly to accelerate smart wallet development.
Yeah, acquisitions often tell you something about a company's strategy. Alchemy integrating an NFT platform developer like Haymint, it suggests a strong focus on incorporating NFTs, maybe broader Web3 functions, directly into user wallets.
Streamlining the user experience.
Precisely, which is, a key focus for getting wider adoption of these Web3 technologies.
And Engine Blockchain is adding testnet support for USDC and USDT stablecoins, enabling cross-chain transfers in its ecosystem.
Another good example of enhancing interoperability and convenience.
Yeah.
Enabling stablecoin transfers across chains, especially on a testnet first, makes it easier for users to move value around, particularly relevant for Engine, given their focus on gaming and digital assets.
Right. There was also a report from the legal and regulatory side. A U.S. federal court sentencing a Bitcoin exchanger in Danvers, Massachusetts, for laundering over $1 million through an unregistered business.
Yes, unfortunately, that underscores the persistent challenges, illicit activity risks in crypto, and the ongoing efforts by law enforcement and regulators to tackle it.
Mm-hmm.
Operating unregistered money service businesses, failing on anti-money laundering rules. It carries big legal consequences, as this case shows.
And you also noted Michigan lawmakers introduced new crypto bills, covering things like state investments, mining, even CBDCs.
Yeah, that shows the legislative activity at the state level in the U.S. is ongoing. States exploring different ways to interact with or regulate crypto. Could be public fund investments, could be addressing energy use for mining, could be considering CBDC implications. Lots happening there.
Okay, let's dive a bit deeper then into some of the specific market analysis points from the materials.
Sounds good.
What's fascinating here is the mention of a chart of the week, highlighting potential price rallies for WorldCoin, WLD, and Hyperliquid, HYPE.
Right. For WorldCoin, the report cited catalysts like World ID adoption, technical momentum. For Hyperliquid, the analysis pointed to a potentially rare chart pattern plus significant volume surges.
So even with the general market dipping, these specific assets are being flagged based on particular technical or fundamental signals.
Exactly. It's a good reminder that not everything moves in lockstep. Individual assets can have their own stories playing out.
Another interesting point you included, the report about hedge funds betting against Metaplanet, and the comparison being drawn to the GameStop short squeeze from 2021.
Yeah, that comparison definitely grabs your attention, doesn't it?
It does.
Now, it might not be a direct parallel in scale or context, but the core idea suggested is that market dynamic of a short squeeze,
Right?
where lots of investors betting on a price decrease shorting can get forced to buy if the price unexpectedly goes up, creates that rapid, sometimes explosive upward move. The report suggests the level of short interest in Metaplanet could, theoretically, set the stage for something like that.
Interesting theory. You also noted Aptos, APT.
Yeah.
Its price reportedly at a range low support level, and the suggestion this could potentially trigger a major reversal towards $20.
Yeah, technical levels like range low support are points many traders watch very closely. A successful bounce off a level like that, if it happens, is often seen as a potential signal for a significant upward move, like the analysis suggested for Aptos there.
And the information you shared asks why Merlin Chain's Arrow token price might be soaring.
Yes, the reports connected Merlin Chain's recent strength to its relationship with Bitcoin.
Okay.
As a layer 2 solution, built on or connected to Bitcoin, its performance and perceived value can sometimes be really closely tied to what's happening in the broader Bitcoin ecosystem. Developments, sentiment, things like that.
Got it. Matrixport's perspective was included too, regarding the current Bitcoin rally, highlighting what they think makes it unique compared to past cycles.
Yeah, specifically Bitcoin's ability to hold above the $110 K threshold for, well, a sustained period.
If we connect that to the bigger picture.
Right. The ability of the market to defend and hold those big psychological price levels, like $110 pay, could indicate stronger underlying demand. Or maybe just more conviction in this rally compared to previous ones, where similar levels might have seen faster pullbacks or acted as stronger resistance. It suggests a different market behavior this time around, perhaps.
You also highlighted Hyperliquid's formal response to the US CFTC, their request for comment on perpetuals and 247 trading.
Yes, that's a key piece of regulatory interaction. You have decentralized protocol like Hyperliquid engaging directly with a major U.S. financial regulator.
On complex topics.
Exactly. Perpetuals those continuous futures contracts without expiration and the whole implication of 247 market access. It highlights that ongoing dialogue between DeFi and traditional regulators. Very important.
Finally, the analysis you included flagged Jasmy, JSMY, price reportedly forming what was called a whiskey pattern, as large holders, whales, appear to be offloading.
Right. This speaks to the role of on-chain analysis, examining the blockchain transactions.
Watching the big money move.
Precisely. The movement of tokens by large holders is often seen as a potential indicator of future price action. And in this instance, the reports you have suggest this whale activity is potentially a bearish signal for Jasmy.
Okay, circling back quickly to the meme coins.
Yeah.
We noted those significant dips earlier. SHIB, PP, Bunk, WDF, PopCat.
Yes, those were quite notable pullbacks across that specific segment in the snapshot you provided.
But it's classic crypto volatility, isn't it? Because the information you shared also mentioned other meme coins that were on the move today,
That's right.
like Mudang, Buildin, and Mog, reportedly posting double-digit gains.
This just vividly illustrates the highly speculative, often fragmented nature of the meme coin market.
Yeah.
While one group might be correcting sharply, other, maybe newer or less established ones, can still see significant pumps based on different narratives, community hype, specific catalysts, whatever it might be. As these examples show, it's a really volatile corner of the market.
And interestingly, regarding PPE specifically, there was a price prediction included that suggested the recent pullback, even though it was over 10%,
Yeah.
actually signals a bullish trend continuation.
See, that highlights how different analysts can interpret the exact same price movement.
Totally different takes.
What one sees as a concerning decline, another might view as just a healthy correction, or a dip-to-buy opportunity within a larger uptrend. It really underscores the value of looking at multiple perspectives when you're analyzing this stuff.
Key point. And for XRP, the reports indicated the price is currently stalling.
Mm-hmm.
But you also included info about traders on Polymarket betting it will hit an all-time high in 2025.
That's an interesting contrast, isn't it?
Is.
Current price stagnation right alongside a prediction market showing significant bets on a major future milestone. It speaks to the different time horizons people are considering and the potential catalysts they might be looking at for XRP's trajectory down the line.
Before we wrap up, the materials you gathered included details on a pretty significant security incident.
Yes. The reports detailed the Cetus protocol hack and a related exploit affecting a SUI-based protocol. Headlines reported the breach scale around $260 million. Those specific details tied $223 million of that to a particular Cetus liquidity pool feature. Still huge numbers.
Massive. And Cetus is offering a substantial reward, $5 million, for info on the hacker.
Offering a large bounty like that is a common tactic in these situations. Hoping to incentivize information, maybe lead to fund recovery or identifying who did it. But what's particularly important here, I think, is how this incident cascaded. The SU-based Hadal protocol had to suspend its HayVault feature. Why? Because it relied directly on the affected Cetus liquidity pool.
That really drives home the interconnectedness within DeFi, doesn't it?
Absolutely. If one piece of the puzzle, like a liquidity pool, gets exploited, it can directly impact other protocols, other features that are built on top of it or rely on it. It's a crucial factor for anyone involved in DeFi, whether you're using it or building it.
Okay, you provided information covering a really wide range today, from the general market dips, majors and meme coins, to specific news, technical milestones, corporate adoption, legal issues, even that politics and crypto commentary intersection.
And we looked at deeper analysis points, too. Potential rallies for some assets, observations about hedge fund shorts, regulatory engagement. There's clearly a dynamic interplay of forces here. Innovation keeps happening. Corporate interest is definitely still present. Regulators are actively involved.
And the market stays volatile.
And the market itself remains inherently volatile with those ever-present security risks, as we just discussed with CETUS.
It really makes you consider the current state of things. Based on this snapshot, Bitcoin and altcoins have seen these pullbacks. Is this a signal for the end of the crypto bull run? Or maybe just a necessary, perhaps even healthy consolidation phase before the next move?
That's the big question posed by the market activity and the commentary and the information you shared, isn't it? Is this correction a reset, maybe offering an opportunity, or is it a sign of a more significant downturn ahead? Processing all these different data points, the news, the analyses you gathered, it helps provide context. But the ultimate direction, that's always the subject of debate. It's certainly something for you, the listener, to consider as you digest these insights.
Thanks for bringing us this interesting set of information to dive into today.
It's always a pleasure to unpack this complex space together.
Join Daily Crypto for real-time market updates.